Well, let's look at another aspect, that was actually highlighted in that report, and that's the proposed common external tariff,
yes,
which we know is meant to promote the integration of West African sub-region. Let me start with you, Mr. Duru. Is there any issue? Is there any reservation being expressed by the small-scale industrialists as regards this CET that's supposed to kick off in 2015?
Thank you. There are some.
Some, not plenty.
There are some. Because, if you go from Nigeria to other West African countries, my own experience has been that between Nigeria and Ghana, we need to sort out some things. You go for trade fair, your goods are not released in time for the thing to go into the fair until after the fair. That's on one side. Then again, the countries that are very close to us, there are lots of things that are already coming in that are not manufactured there. And under the common external tariff, all these things will be like something produced in Benin, something produced in this, and take. Then again, things that we are supposed to produce and export. How will this one be treated in Ghana, in Republic of Benin, and all the rest?
No, it's supposed to harmonize all the tariffs and make it easy for everybody to do business. So if we have a common one, it's supposed to be like everyone would be your brother's keeper, so to speak. Because you just mentioned the fact that somehow the relations between Nigeria and Ghana as regards trade and everything sometimes seems a little strained. But this should address all of that. And what are the policies, policy issues that we seem to be having as regards settling that seeming challenge we have with Ghana?
With Ghana and Nigeria, I think they need to move very fast, because in making things smooth in the area of this tariff issue, but once we are able to sort out some differences in our relationship, then we will not have much problem, other than we need to look at what is produced in that country. Is it actually produced in that country? Is it repackaged in that country? All this one will actually have effect on the way we do business. Because there we are making oil here, either palm oil or refined palm oil, or they call it vegetable oil. And then they are bringing it from Malaysia to Republic of Benin to package. Then we are operating on the same common tariff. And then, for sure, the one in Republic of Benin will come to Nigeria.
Somehow or the other,
and then our own will not find market in any place, because that one will be cheaper from Malaysia.
Okay.
How do we solve this problem?
So do you share? Does the LCCI also share this the same view as?
Yes, we share the concern of industrialists generally, including himself. But the whole idea of the CET is to further advance the cause of economic integration in the sub-region. If you have a CET, it moves us to the level of what we call the customs union. And globally, that is the intent. We have a lot of economic blocks, developing. You have the EU, we have the SADC in South Africa, we have COMESA in East Africa, we have the ECOWAS here. But in terms of economic integration, we haven't made sufficient progress in the West African sub-region. And this decision is a step to further advance the cause of integration. But there will be challenges, because first, with the endorsement of the CET by the ECOWAS heads of state, this idea of import prohibition will no longer exist.
Which is what he just spoke about as well.
That's a major issue, because we have quite a number of domestic industries that are surviving because they are protected by that kind of policy. The idea of waivers will no longer exist. If you must give waiver, you must have the endorsement of ECOWAS. The idea of export prohibition will no longer exist. The idea of import levies will no longer exist. So, to some extent, there will be a loss of sovereignty. That is the sacrifice that we are going to make this integration work. But the challenges or the fears that we have is that for you to be a profitable player in any integration process or in any regional or continental market, you have to have the capacity to compete. If you cannot compete, you cannot benefit from integration.
Well,
so that is the challenge, and that is the fear
the LCCI
that we have. We need to build competitiveness, and we should begin to address the challenges of competitiveness.
Well, I'll come to you, Mr. Duru. When you were speaking earlier, shortly before this break, you mentioned the fact that some of the challenges that industrialists have faced in the last couple of quarters is the issue of power. And we also know that that was also raised in the report, by the LCCI. But I'll start with you. Now that so much is being done to improve the power sector, we've seen that successfully. Power Holding Company of Nigeria has been unbundled, and of course we're seeing other privatization moves being made in the NIPPs. Is this has this improved the confidence of industrialists in what might happen, in the very short to medium term in the economy?
I think we in the manufacturing sector, we appreciate this, and we look forward to a situation whereby we have uninterrupted power supply. At least if we are starting with 6 hours, then it may move to 12 hours, it may move to 18 hours until we're able to get to 24 hours, because we know it will not happen in one day. And shortly before the release or the sign-off, it appears as if improvement was felt. But in the past 4 days, it has been another thing. So we know that it will come like this. But on the whole, we expect a brighter, rewarding electricity in Nigeria as a result of the unbundling of power holding.
Okay, Muda, does the organized private sector also share this same view?
Well, we can only hope, but I like to caution against a crisis of expectation. Because
expectation from the private sector.
Expectation generally that all this process will suddenly now turn things around. Because we need to manage expectations here. But there's still a lot of issues, transitional issues of funding, issues of gas, and issues of even the capacity of those who have bought these things to be able to make the necessary investments, financing of all of these things. It's a good thing. But let me say that for a developing economy, a major responsibility of any government is to provide infrastructure. So as a matter of policy and as a matter of even the philosophy of economic management, that is what I personally believe. And that is what has transformed the economies of most of these Asian countries. The last time I was in Malaysia, I had the privilege of speaking to one of their ministers in charge of the economy. And I asked him, what exactly is the secret of this transformation? And he said, the secret was that they invested massively in infrastructure. That is the government. When they have been able to put the infrastructure in place,
that's when they invited the private sector.
It was now easy for entrepreneurs, both local, foreign, to come in and play their role. So the fact that we are now abdicating something as critical as electricity in this manner, I think is a mark of failure in a way of the government. Not just this government, because this is a problem that is cumulative. It's a cumulative problem over the years. It's a failure of governance. But having said that, because as it is, there is no hope that the government can run it. So it has now been handed over to the private sector. The private sector objective, first and foremost, is to make money from the investment.
So we're not going to see anything.
Yes, profit is
coming to the investors anytime soon, until after they've made their money.
Of course, they have to make their money because they are investing. Developmental issues are secondary when it comes to because I mean, an investor is not a charity person. He's not going to tell the shareholders how many factories are working, how many jobs have been created. No, you are going to tell your shareholders what dividend you are giving to them. So we have a challenge to also balance all these interests. So we can only hope and pray that these things will deliver the kind of value and the kind of outcome. But we should not underestimate the challenges ahead.